So we're just going to begin settling ourselves. David and Michael, if you might consider playing with the lights a bit to just make it a little low. Is David saying no? It's a bit bright. Can that be down a bit? Just where everyone's sitting. Just think it's quite bright. Yeah, but maybe the lights above everyone else. Whether you need to follow your books or not. So we're just going to begin with a little piece of music, and Sarah Wendy will remind us the words. Aren't we? With 2 minutes. But anyway, that's fine. We're not beginning the service. I'm just saying we're just going to listen to a little bit of music that Sarah Wendy will remind and reteach us a little later in the service. So, but just to allow you to mark that transition by this piece of music before we welcome each other with Shalom Aleichem. So we've got a couple of minutes still. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
We'll do that again.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Azorim, Badima, Berina, Yisoru. Azorim, Badima, Berina, So we haven't started the service properly yet for anyone arriving. It's not quite 6:30, and we wanted to just allow us a moment of transition, Havdil, to begin to transition from the week that we've had, the internal, more domestic way that we've lived our week, as well as the international news, which push hard at us, and maybe particularly this week. And for me, I'm really thinking about Renee Nicole Good this Friday night, and I'm going to say something about her later, but that commitment to raise her name as she was murdered by ICE, killed by ICE in the US for being possibly an immigrant. And we're just going to look at Torah this week that reminds us about immigrants and responses to immigrants and when it is not good. So welcome, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are at home. Opportunity to work out where you're going to light your candles, how you're going to mark Shabbat and settle down. And for all of us here who've braved the cold and the possible ice on the road, it makes such a difference when we rock up and show up for each other. So we're going to begin, as we always do, with Shalom Aleichem. I'm really hoping that our tech team might allow some of the lights to be turned down, so we have a little bit of coziness. So Shalom Aleichem, and I've just found a little ant in my book. Shalom Aleichem on page 6 in Resold, or if you're using Siddur Lev Chadash, page 76. An opportunity for us to truly welcome Shabbat.
I'm very slowly starting to reteach myself guitar, so thank you all for being my test group.
Kadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And we have one more verse.
Say,
There you go. Keep going.
Zeichem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. So thank you, Sarah Wendy. We've missed you. Sarah Wendy's been back home in the States. And for that reason, it feels really right that you should light candles for us tonight. And maybe Sylvia, you'll come, Sarah Wendy's partner Sylvia will come and light candles with her so that we bring in welcome Shabbat. Those of you at home, this is your moment to find where you want your candles lit, to allow us all to really leave behind the week and begin Shabbat. Stand if you're comfortable as we get ready to welcome.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Everybody.
So, Shabbat Shalom, Sylvia and Sarah Wendy. Thank you for bringing in Shabbat. So, Lachadodi, page 91, if you are in Lev Chadash, page 9, thank you, if you are in Resold. And as I reminded us last week, Lachadodi was a prayer written in the 15th century by Shlomo Alkabetz of Sfat, who he was one of the first rabbis that created this mystical community in the northern town of Sfat, and came up with this idea that was first mentioned in Talmud, Rabbi Hanina, who would walk to the city limits to really welcome, to say Shabbat Shalom to everyone that he found on his way, but to really, in a way that personified Shabbat, to bring Shabbat in to the town. And so, Lachadodi, that's why we stand for the final verse, and it's also why the prayer is written as if Shabbat is a bride, personified as a bride. So looking at Simon and Jess, almost our next wedding actually, not quite our next wedding, but thinking about how we do that, how we personify ideas to allow them to have greater depth for us. So if you feel like, stand for the final verse, and if anyone walks in late, you'll be able to wave at them. I always love sharing that. I think I walked in late to Alith Garden Synagogue down the road from us, and it was for Lachadodi, and the welcomer practically rugby tackled me to the side lest I spoil the Shabbat moment as I was walking in, whereas I hope someone might come in late and we'll just wave at them. So Lachadodi. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor b'dibor echad, yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shamo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'letila. Lechadodi, לקראת שבת לכוונך, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נברא. לך דודי, דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצלה, תוכן מעיני ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. And as we're standing, we can go straight to the Baruch Hu. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, le'olam va'ed. Let's sit down as we go to the two blessings that precede the Shema. And I think, especially because we have no curtains in our sanctuary, there's something about being here every Friday night and noticing the change of the seasons, that soon, I pray soon, it will be light again as we offer this. So we're just going to offer the Hatimah, the final line, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'arif Aravim. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall.
Avat olam beit Yisrael, amcha avta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki em chayenu ve'orech yameinu
ותורתך אל תסור ממנו לעולמים. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. So stand, sit for the Shema, whatever feels right for you. Often it's what we've been taught, what we've experienced, whatever allows us to be as focused as possible with these words. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Let's sit down as Sylvia tries to save the candle. So we always say that what we've offered in the Shema is something true we can rely on, and yet truth feels so piquant at the moment in this polarized world of ours, of people attaching themselves to truths that are different. So here at least we can say that we all benefit from being reminded that creating these passageways through our life, whether we're Jewish or Jewish adjacent, we can agree that it's something strong and true we can rely on. And then we remember that full of joy, we sang together these words. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedon b'kodesh, nora teilot u'sefele. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, Ga'al Yisrael. And we offer our more domestic, our more intimate prayer for peace, 2 prayers for peace in the evening as we pray to have a shelter, a Shabbat Shalom, a shelter of peace, to be shielded from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and to keep us from wrongdoing. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol yoshvei tevel. We praise you, O God. May your sheltering peace descend on us and all who dwell on earth. So stand when you're ready as we go into the tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim וכל הכל, וזוכר הסתרות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין לנו אלוהים מבלעדיך. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You all ready for a rousing round of Shamru?
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Baruch atah Adonai Makadesh HaShabbat. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of Shabbat. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We bless you, we praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who I know that you know I love, was this phenomenal rabbi who had left Germany and Poland and come to the US after the Second World War, and who dedicated himself to renewing his Judaism by creating a very contemporary Hasidic idea of Judaism, which focused both on prayer and spirituality, but equally on social justice. He was one of the most outspoken faith leaders in terms of supporting desegregation and the civil rights movement. We have wonderful photos of him marching with Martin Luther King, and an amazing relic that still exists, which was a telegram that he sent to the president at the time, JFK, calling for a spiritual emergency and calling on all clergy across the United States to sacrifice 1 month of their own salaries to be put towards the civil rights movement. And I think he looms large still for us as a clergy person, a religious leader who understood that justice went alongside spirituality. And I really feel that his kind of legacy looms large for us right now. And we're not even in the United States, where really tough things are happening. And I just think that he reminded us, not only in the power of prayer, to raise our spirits, to remind ourselves the power of being in community, but also the power of being inspired to act for justice and for good in whatever world, country, community, society that you live in. So I really hold his memory dear. And he was someone who said, like, sometimes you don't feel like praying, but you come along and you pray to be with each other, because prayer sometimes can water a parched soul. So I just hold him very much in heart tonight as we offer the words of Modim Anachnu Lach at the bottom of page 100, or if you are in the other Siddur, you probably can find the English on page 18. But we are, let's offer it in English tonight. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you are the God of our ancestors. You're the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. So we offer Shalom Rav, the second prayer of peace in the evening. And something that Abraham Joshua Heschel also said is that when you pray, don't pray as if the words are like dead leaves that fall out of your mouth. Pray as if you are giving life to something. So let's pray together in that way as we offer Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה
just before we offer this final blessing of peace, the Khatima, I am going to ask Rafi and Clara to just pass around a little bit of Torah for me. So Clara and Rafi. So if you want to take half each, we'll do that. So we can just say together, Baruch atah Adonai oseh hashalom. So some Torah is being passed around just because I can't resist us having a Torah moment together. And I wanted to show you in this week's parasha of two examples. In a way, this week's parasha means portion. We begin the book of Exodus. Exodus in Hebrew is Shemot, meaning names, also meaning to be called, and called Exodus in the Greek and English because the Israelites eventually come out of Egypt. But this is the first time we hear their story of what's going to happen to them, of how they're turned into slaves, of how Pharaoh hates the Hebrews, the Israelites, who live as a separate group of people, how they're perceived basically as refugees, as immigrants, people who are now no longer welcome in Egypt. And we're told that a new king has arisen in Pharaoh. And commentators say they're not quite sure, is it that it literally was a new king, or was it a king who no longer remembered Joseph, when Israelites and the Hebrews were considered pretty cool and Joseph ran the country, and so everyone had the benefit. But now there was a new king. And this is where we get the idea of so many things. It's the leitmotif of being Jewish, which is that this is our story. We suffered in Egypt, so we never want to let others suffer. We experience what it was like to be immigrants and to be treated as other, and we never want to do that again to others. And we've seen examples in this portion, and we're going to read this, about the midwives who are named. It's very rare that women are named in the Bible, and they seem to offer the first act of disobedience. So I just want to tell you what's on your page in case you're reading ahead. So first we're going to read the beginning of the Torah text, and then a Jewish scholar responds by suggesting that what he reads in this Jewish text is the first act of civil disobedience, of justice being enacted. And the second piece I've brought is that famously, some will remember, I was not alive when Enoch Powell gave his famous River of Blood speech in Birmingham in 1968, but famously, this incredibly racist trope that he gave towards immigrants and minorities, he took the language from this first chapter of the book of Exodus, of Shemot, of how the Israelites are described in a way that has them multiplying and being so numerous that it was almost like they were like insects. So I really wanted to show you that sometimes Torah can be used for such a positive, uplifting reminder of goodness in the world, and sometimes it can be used for ill. And we always want to be part of the former. Obviously, we would never be part of the latter. So I'm going to ask, and forgive me to those of you at home if you can't hear all of it, but I'm going to tell you that it's Exodus chapter 1, verses 15 to 20. Would someone read it super loud? Simon, I caught your eye. Simon.
Excuse me, right. The king of Egypt sent to the Hebrew midwives, whose name was Shiphrah and Puah, when you help the Hebrew women in childbirth and observe them on the delivery stool, if it is a boy, kill him, but if it is a girl, let her live. The midwives, however, feared God and did not do what the king of Egypt had told them to do. They let the boys live. He asked them, "Why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live?" They answered, "Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive." So God was kind to the midwives, and the people increased and became even more numerous.
Thank you. And then, if you'd just like to read what Michael DeLong says about this piece.
Civil disobedience is one of the ideas that I assumed was relatively new. The past is a different country, and people often acted and thought very differently from today. But sometimes, when reading, you come across an event that seems strikingly modern and relevant for our times.
So I love this, and I love this week of watching this cry out in Minnesota and beyond in the United States of Renee Nicole Good, a mother of 3, poet, writer, guitarist, whose car was stuffed with soft, cuddly toys for her children, who was shot dead on the excuse that they were concerned that it was an illegal immigrant intent on doing them harm. And I am watching those rise up in a spirit of civil disobedience to call out wrong and injustice. And we, as a Jewish people, are made up of immigrants, of refugees, of knowing the power and the beauty of movement and of people settling in new lands and of giving welcome. And so I think really being reminded of this text this week in these acts of violence, which aren't everywhere, not all the time. There is plenty of love and welcome and kindness. And for those who were at our Hanukkah party for the Syrian refugee families that we as a synagogue helped to settle over 10 years, almost 10 years ago now, it's a really powerful reminder that there is as much goodness as there is the opposite, and seeing lots of children who sat here as toddlers on the bima, we have a photo of them, and seeing them now, 13, 14-year-old girls, telling their parents about Hanukkah because they're learning it at school, was really a very special experience for us. So now let us, just because we should always know when Torah is used ill, let's just read this one verse. Someone else ready to read the more difficult verse? Rafi, thank you.
The Israelites were exceedingly fruitful. They multiplied greatly, increased their numbers, became so numerous that the land was filled with them.
Thank you. So I'm just going to pause, and then you're going to read what Enoch Powell said, which is strange coming out of a child's mouth, but we'll cope, that Pharaoh was really worried because there were so many Israelites, and Pharaoh didn't like it. And that was why he came up with the plan of baby boys, which we know did not work. But now either Mark or Rafi will read this speech from this politician that we know sowed terrible seeds of racism back at the end of the 1960s. So, Rafi, if you want to carry on, or your dad can.
As time goes on, the proportion of this total who are immigrant descendants, those born in England who arrived by exactly the same route as the rest will rapidly increase. Whole areas, towns and parts of towns across England will be occupied by the immigrant descended population.
And for him, it wasn't a good thing. But for us, I think we recognize it is. So just taking a moment to think about the power of Torah, this extraordinary document that we have here is our scrolls. And yet, as Michael DeLong says, just occasionally you find something that is so contemporary that speaks or breathes life to what is happening around us. So just take a moment, and maybe as we do so, we just hold that name in mind, Renee Nicole Good.
Lefanech Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol bnei Adam. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
So stay seated. Instead of Aleinu today, if you've got one of these Sidurim, I'm going to ask you to turn to page 191 before we go to Kaddish. Aleinu is the prayer that tells us it's upon us, it's our responsibility in this world of ours. And these words are by the French scholar Emmanuel Edu on the top of page 191. Who wrote them in 1969, so it feels like a good antidote to Enoch Powell, and they were translated by Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Magnat. To open eyes when others close them, to hear when others do not wish to listen, to look when others turn away, to seek to understand when others give up, to rouse oneself when others accept, to continue the struggle even when one is not the strongest, to cry out when others keep silent. To be a Jew is that. It is first of all that, and further to live when others are dead and to remember when others have forgotten. Let us not ask ourselves only who is a Jew. Let's ask ourselves who is a good Jew. A good Jew is one in whose life being Jewish is a constant influence for good. We're going to stand for Kaddish now, but just Emmanuel Edu talked about the power of remembering. And at the end of this month, we have Holocaust Memorial Day, and in our synagogue, we are showing this extraordinary film this year of the life of Marika Henriquez, who is a Holocaust survivor, a hidden Hungarian child, who is still working as a Jungian analyst, even at 95 years old, from her own couch on Zoom. She does it. She is extraordinary, and a film has been made about her life. Not only her life, but the tapestries she made in response to the dreams she had after the war and for 30, 40 years after the war. And this film is amazing, and she is amazing. And although she doesn't leave her house anymore, I'm going to record a message for us from her. She's a dear friend of mine, and I hope you'll join us watching that film. Wednesday, the 28th of January, here at 7 o'clock. But for now, we also remember. We remember those who are no longer with us in our own lives and families. We think particularly of Ernest Greenfield, father of Gordon Greenfield, even as we remember Gordon. We think of Jean Cohen Boulakia, who was husband of Chantal and father of Emily and Charlotte and grandpa to Leah, Clara, Paloma and James. We think of Helga Brady, aunt of Neil Rosen-Webb, of Martin Boyd, who is remembered by Valerie Boyd-Hellner, of Morris Needleman, beloved member of this synagogue, remembered by all of us, of Nathan Furman, grandfather of Beverly Kafka, of Ruth Rappaport, mother of Anne Andrews, and Thomas Touts, brother of Patricia Touts. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may those who recall and remember their loved ones be comforted just a little in their loss, as we say the words of Kaddish together that you can find on page 524. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shamei rabbah, bi'amad divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'hayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalav isman karif emru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavorach le'olam almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitada v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudisha brichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya. V'hayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Ose shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol b'nei adam. V'imru amen. So we finish with those words that Sarah Wendy began the service with, which are from Psalm 126. Those who sow in tears reap in joy. And the reason why I think this is such a powerful song, and a melody was created by Debbie Friedman, Zichrona Levracha, the most extraordinary composer and musician who really changed the face of Jewish music in her lifetime, is that we know that often we go through very tough times in our own personal lives, but actually even in the struggle to make the world an okay place. And we hope that by sowing sometimes in tears, we reap and harvest with joy.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So, that's amazing. That's amazing. It's Debbie Friedman's Yahrzeit, whose music we just sang, and that feels very good that we've honored her tonight. So let's all speed over to Kiddush. Clara, I am going to ask you to just